Have you ever stood in front of a mirror, trying to button up a shirt that isn't yours, and felt like your fingers were suddenly glitching? You go to push the button through the hole, but everything feels wrong. It's backwards. Your brain knows exactly how to do it, but your hands are fighting you. It's one of those things we use every single day. Men's buttons are on the right side of the shirt. Women's buttons are on the left. It seems like a totally random design choice, right? Well, the truth is, it's not random at all. This tiny detail is actually a ghost from the past, a leftover signal of swords, servants, and social status that has survived for hundreds of years. Welcome to the smart side. First, let's look at the guys. To understand why men's buttons are on the right, we have to go back to a time of warriors. And since about 90% of the population is right-handed, men wore their swords on their left hip to draw quickly with their dominant hand. If your shirt overlapped right over left, there was a massive risk that your sword hilt would catch on the fabric. By putting the buttons on the right and overlapping the left over the right, the opening faced away from the sword hand. But what about women? To find that answer, we have to look at the high fashion of the Victorian era. Back in the 1800s, buttons weren't cheap plastic. They were expensive luxury items made of pearl, silver, or hand-carved ivory. If you were that wealthy, you weren't dressing yourself. High society women were dressed by ladies-in-waiting or servants every single morning. Since most servants were right-handed, putting the buttons on the wearer's left put them on the servant's right side as they stood in front. Having buttons on the left became a silent way of telling the world, "I'm so rich, I don't even have to button my own clothes." Now, there's also a much weirder theory floating around about Napoleon Bonaparte. Legend says Napoleon was so annoyed by women mocking his famous hand and waistcoat pose that he ordered their buttons flipped. Is it true? Probably not. But there are other practical theories too. One is about horse riding. By putting the buttons on the left, it prevented the wind from blowing into their shirts while they rode at high speeds. But here's the real question. Why hasn't it changed? The answer is actually pretty boring. It's just the way it is. Next time you're struggling with a button, remember, you're interacting with a design choice made for 18th century swordsmen and Victorian maids. If you enjoyed this look into history, hit that like button and subscribe to the Smart Side. See you in the next one.